Speaking of Mother's Day, I thought, what is socialism? But basically everything your mother told you when you were little. You know, share, be nice, wait your turn, do unto others if you're religious, or what goes around comes around if you're karmic. People, as soon as they hear the S word, which was the name of Cindy in my show, or communism, they go into panic fear. My idea is, and I've done this with my blog, and now I've been doing this radio gig 4 years. And there are so many people that were kind of Democrat leftists, and the more I talk to them and explain, hey, this is my position on this thing, the more they went, well, I guess, well, for that subject, I'm a socialist. And then it was another subject. Well, yeah, for that, I guess I am a socialist about that too. When it comes down to using the media, okay, you were talking about your blog. There's many ways to have a multi-authored blog where you can approve your authors, pre-approve them, or like you said, just have them submit it. But there's more than that. The number one thing people, my son included, get their news from when they're young is YouTube. It's Blog Talk Radio, which you can make a free account and do, I think you can only do half-hour shows now, unless you pay, which I pay. So if somebody wants to borrow my account, since I'm covered for it, you can borrow mine for an hour a week. I don't care. But the important thing is to talk, and to talk a lot. Talk in gas stations. Talk in grocery lines. Somebody's complaining about, how did I put it? Oh, yeah, damn Obama, or damn Snyder, or Congress. Don't engage them at that level. Do not even engage them and say, hey, no, be a socialist. What you want to do is, look at them and say, yeah, they're working exactly for the people who pay them. And it's not you and me. It's, and it goes back, now they've all heard this meme of the 1%. Okay, it's out there. That's the one thing Occupy did, is it absolutely put that into the public dialogue where it had never been before. So even I live in the belly of left or right-wing hell. And, I think there's 2 of us that are liberal, within 100 miles, maybe. But I can get in line with these people that were staunchly for Snyder, and they start to complain about Snyder. Or they hated Obama, and they start to blame everything on Obama, and you're like, well, guess what? GE, you said everybody's sick of hearing about the Koch brothers, yeah. You bring up how much money they're making, and how much money they're getting back in taxes. GE is my example. They made $10.5 billion, and they got $4.7 billion back in a tax refund last year. So you look at these people and you go, oh, of course the prices are high. Of course your taxes, you don't feel like you're getting anything. You might as well just pull out your wallet and written your taxes and handed it to the richest people in the country. And they're like, oh, then they'll start railing about taxes. Well, socialists are against taxes. So you look at them and say, well, taxes aren't just, you give it to the government and it's the government's money. What it was originally for was a savings account. Let's say you and your neighbors want to throw money into a savings account because none of you can afford that road, but together you can afford that road. And that was the intent when we had control. When it wasn't corporations purchasing politicians or handing us pre-vetted politicians, when it was us voting for what we wanted and people to represent what we really wanted. At that point, we all put our money together. We get the best value, we get the best education, we get the best roads, and it's putting money in a pot for us. And we're giving it to the richest while our jobs are being sent overseas. There's nobody who isn't losing their job, they're losing their houses, or know somebody who does, losing their health care, and now the right to work. Those were generalities. Now I want to go to specifics. Right to work is a perfect one. I was in Lansing, I was at March. We voted it down. We voted it down and they attached it to a spending bill, so it's referendum proof. They don't know that word. Most people you talk to will not know these words. Referendum proof, do you have to look at them and say, we voted against it, they did it anyhow, attached it to spending, and we can never vote it away again, which means your kids are going to have to work for less than minimum wage. because the prevailing wages are set, were at one time set by unions, even if you weren't a union person. Hey, if the unions are all paying $14 an hour back in 1970, people would either join the union to be a carpenter, or the people competing for their labor would have to say, all right, we'll pay you $12.50. Okay? This is lowering our bar. It gets even worse when you come to emergency managers. That not all of Michigan is concerned about that yet, because let's face it, we are still a racist state, and it's happening to black areas. And they're like, oh, do you understand that over 50% of the African Americans in the state have been disenfranchised? They no longer get the vote. That, like I said, that won't work in my area because most of them are horrible racists. But the thing is that once they see, they'll talk about emergency managers and say, graft, mismanagement, blah, blah, blah. These are the media issues we need to be addressing. We need to stop the disinformation. We need to be able to go, wait a second. All 6 of these cities in Michigan that were taken over by emergency managers, each and every one of them were highly industrialized areas that they shut down the plants and sent the work overseas. Whoosh, hear that flush? That was your tax base, gone. Your tax base is gone. So now not only is the large business not paying any taxes to that city, but there's a urban flight where people leave the area, and then there's the blight because if you're not working, you can afford food and rent maybe, but you can't afford house paint. Your house is falling apart. This is why that there is no money in these large cities. It's not that the people, I mean, there's always corruption. There's corruption in the most expensive areas in Michigan. But it wasn't corruption that did it. It was the people being betrayed by the capitalist system. And the capitalist system is doing exactly what it was intended to do. And when people ask about this, one of the big messages I like to get that people don't get, their capitalism, it's the best way, something they've been taught all their lives. It's an extraction process. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It pulls from the bottom and sucks to the top. It pulls value out of your labor. It pulls value out of whatever you produce. They're going to pay you the cheapest so that their stockholders get the most and sell it for the most. All of you are obviously versed in you know the technical end of the Socialist Party better than anybody I've ever heard speak. Just off the cuff, that was wonderful. I'm sure most of you can quote Marx. Working people aren't going to get that. Working people, if you throw billboards at them, capitalism kills, they're not going to necessarily understand that. But when you look at them and said, take any given issue that they're going and say, who does it benefit? You or them, and you show dollars, somebody sitting on a pile of dollars. That is the message. That is where you have to get. Schools, charter schools. That's another issue that you can pinpoint and just do a short video. Do a short video laughing about the fact that, right, charter schools are good for Michigan. Let's see, 300,000 teachers' jobs are gone. 40,000 public schools have been closed in the last 4 years. That's nationally. Detroit has 41% charter schools. Michigan is the highest in the nation. We have surpassed New Orleans. 80% of our schools are now charter schools. Why? Well, here's one reason. We just cut sales tax on gasoline. We got $770 million taken out of that. They took that money and made it up by taking it out of the school aid fund. And then they just are proposing to do it this week with jet fuel. $55 million that they want to give in tax breaks to jet fuel. How many people do you know that have jets? Seriously, do you think that Northwest is going under? Or do you think the people flying Lears in and out of Ann Arbor need that tax break and they need it taken from your kids' schools? Seriously? I mean, I don't think there's anybody that you can talk to in the country and say that to that wouldn't go, something's wrong with this picture. And that's how you start to introduce ideas of socialism. And you do it with passion. And you do it on the radio. And you do it when you're writing. And you do it, like I said, Do YouTubes. Even if you can come up with something amusing, short, funny, it goes viral. This boy has come home where there's ones in school making fun of capitalism, and he just turned 14. You really need to do it. Since when are lower wages good for us? Since when are tax cuts for the elites? Do they bring us jobs? They've got more tax cuts than ever. Where are the jobs? Where are they? What part of this is good for us? So between that and then you get the Free Press and you get the Detroit News and they'll say blah blah blah, this is wonderful, fracking is good, GMOs are good. We have to be absolutely diligent as citizen journalists because we're not going to get on the mainstream media. We're not going to get people on board by being purists. And you know, it's hard for me because I have a big smiting hammer and people get on my Facebook page and say stupid stuff and I'm like, gone. But you have to engage the activists. You have to engage the churches in Detroit. You have to engage, like I'm trying to engage different Jewish Voices for Peace groups. I'm trying to engage people that normally wouldn't work together. Different parties. I've got the Green Party, I've got the Socialist Party, you know, Peace and Freedom Party. I've got all these people that, while their ideals are not exactly the same, they're way more the same than fighting amongst ourselves and letting the capitalists win. Another thing that you might want to hit pretty good is the surveillance state. We're to the point where my little, I guess, catchphrase for it is, this is the new normal. The new normal is, amazingly, we could catch a bad guy years ago with 2 detectives and a sniffing dog. Okay, and they were called a criminal and they got a trial. Now you have a bad guy who does a criminal act and they roll tanks down our streets. This is the new normal. And if it was for our security, why did they lift the ban 4 hours before Joker was caught? It wasn't. Why were they searching houses miles away? Why is a 69-year-old activist living in Cuba now a terrorist when we have the right to go to other countries and drone on the kill list terrorists? Each and every one of us that speaks out under NDAA can be charged. I'm not shutting up. You can't shut up. We all need to we need to use the media more. We need to pick our messages and we need to make them user-friendly to really the fact that most people aren't as educated as I consider you sitting around this table to be. But they know what's good for them. They know what's not good for them. And we're kind of at ground zero for this experiment. And we're in a rare spot in Michigan because of the onslaught so heavy with Snyder, the fact that we're ground zero for the industrial wasteland. We're really ground zero for this social experiment. They want to see how much we will take of austerity. They want to frighten us with the police machine and the military state, and by taking any activists and branding them terrorists, which means, okay, I don't agree with what you're doing, so I'm a bad guy, instead of having free speech anymore. So while we're at ground zero for this bad part, we're also at ground zero for an opportunity for resistance, because let's face it, Michigan is full of people that at once were middle class and are watching everything being taken from them. You know, so that's really what I wanted to talk about is finding your message, finding like what you were talking about, your billboards and what you want to say. Make sure that what you do decide on, make somebody sitting at their table, they won't even know it until they look at the little spot at the bottom where it says Socialist Party of Michigan. They won't even know it's you. They'll just see something that says make sense of it. They're like, right on, I'm mad about that. Right on, where's ours? Right on. You want people to, you want to hit them in the emotions, and when they see that little Socialist Party, they're going to go, maybe they're not all whack. But you really, you know, basically all I'm begging you to do is use all the media available to you. Even if I babble on my radio show for an hour every week, and it just amazes me people still listen, that you're listening to me now. It just amazes me. I have no vanity. I'm like, why would people listen to me? But they do. But they do. And I started out with 10 people listening a week. I average 3,000 listens a week now. Really? Are there that many people without a life? Oh, wait. No, but something must be resonating. And if I can do it, you know, a middle-aged mother sitting at my kitchen table in Michigan, any of you can do it, and you can get your friends doing it. So use all the tools available to you, and that's all I've got.
Thanks, Diane.
Okay, thanks.